getting past the two, like, dangerous people. This, she looks so...
Are you fucking serious?
It's like, you really, out of all the people we've killed, you let, like, the 5 foot tall girl get away. Come on now.
Fix what? Killing me or the light bulb?
Or the desk.
Oh, the other thing.
早く追いかけろ。あの小娘何度目だ。お守りの切れ端を持っているのか。運命が定着していない。どこか隠れられるところを探さなきゃ。
I hear the sounds of someone else running in just a short distance from me. Or short distance in front of me. I couldn't make it out who it was with any certainty, but I did briefly catch a glimpse of a figure retreating into the darkness, and it looked like... I took off in pursuit. If that was Big Brother, then I just had to catch up to him.
Run!
He mustn't have heard me. His pace never slowed, and I saw him disappear around a corner.
Careful around corners. Remember to call your corners.
This is an interesting tune.
Yeah, it is. I kind of like it.
Alright. Z. Now, which corner?
Yes.
If I remember, that's the lab. Which means I don't want to go that way. I want to go this way.
Wait. You mean the lab marked lab?
I'm sure there are different types of labs on each floor. Either way, I don't want to go back there. Anyway, big guy's there. Is there anything else in here?
Maybe you'd give him a high five.
Door's not locked. Message on the board there. There's no taking it back. There's no going back. There's no... The paper's torn at this point, cutting off the rest of the sentence. Uh-oh. It's a wooden shelving unit with a glass door. It doesn't seem to be locked. Unfortunately, there's nothing useful inside. Now, there's no time to search shelves anyway. I have to find my big brother. I think I'm on a time limit.
Apparently.
Great, which way did he go? Left or right? Up it is. Shit. I can't go up that way. Which means he's gonna be somewhere down here. Save on a different spot. And head here. Oop.
何の音
Suddenly, my field of vision started going topsy-turvy. Was I falling? It was an earthquake, but there was more than just that. The floor beneath me was moving up and down in time with the quake's left and right motion.
お兄ちゃんお兄ちゃん
This is just not your day, Yuka. I tried putting one hand on the floor for balance and getting back to my feet.
早くお兄ちゃんを追いかけなきゃいけないのに完全に見失っちゃう
I thought I'd done it. I was standing now, and it started getting used to the vibrations. As long as I hugged the walls, I could walk. But that all quite literally came crashing down around me soon enough. The wildly shaken floor cracked, then crumbled, and I was free falling. Wrong end? No? Oh, not here again! I raised my head and found myself lying on top of a pile of rubble. I wasn't too much worse for the wear, though, all things considered.
どこ
I looked all around me frantically, but saw nothing remotely familiar. This was definitely someplace new. And it didn't feel much like a school anymore. The walls and floor were made from packed dirt, with only railroad ties keeping it all together.
なんかカビ臭い
I knew I was underground. I had to be. It's just felt that way.
I love this area. It took me a second to remember it.
There were no windows anywhere, and based on the smell, there was no ventilation either.
なんか息苦しいなそうだお兄ちゃん
Big Brother might have gotten caught off guard by the earthquake too, I thought. He could be down here. It was a big one after all. Maybe he was injured. Maybe he couldn't move.
早く探さなきゃ
I tried pushing myself up from the pile of rubble, ready to shoot to my feet and continue the search. That didn't last long, however. My hands and feet were still a little numb from the ropes, making it hard to keep my balance. I fell back onto my butt. My underwear was completely waterlogged, like a full sponge. It squished up unpleasantly on the debris, sending a cold chill through my entire body.
何これ
I reached down and felt it. It was absolutely soaked, though. It would take forever to get it dry.
そうだ私おもらししちゃってたんだ
I was so wrapped up in running for my life and chasing after Big Brother, I didn't even notice the wetness. But now I couldn't get it out of my mind.
気持ち悪いよ
Tears were welling up in my eyes. How could I be so pathetic? I forced myself to my feet, doing the best I could, try ignoring the squishy sensation. Stop giggling. I wouldn't be able to ignore it for long, though. My underwear were noticeably heavier now. The urine they absorbed was practically ice cold. I couldn't go on like this. I was going to get a rash or catch pneumonia or something. And with every step was going to be like its own form of mushy, gushy hell. Yeah, I know. What could I do? I could take them off, but then what? Carry them with me? Yo! Leave them on the floor for someone else to find? No thanks.
お兄ちゃんお兄ちゃん
I swallowed my pride, held back my tears as best I could, and wallowed onward.
どこか脱げる場所ないかな
Don't say search mode.
Search mode.
Fuck! Alright, storehouse. Fuck you. There's a girl's room. Alright, best guess is the girl's room.
ここトイレかな 札も貼ってないし。変な匂いもしないよね。
The only bathrooms I've seen up to this point were unusable. Charms on the door mysteriously sealing the room shut, bodies hanging in the stalls. But this looked like a completely normal bathroom. Certainly the most normal I'd seen since getting stuck in this place anyway. There's a loose piece of wood on the ground here.
Sure, I'll take a peek.
何かの役
Who doesn't
に
want wood?
立つかも。
Acquired a piece of wood.
It's a vampire shank.
I tried pulling on one of the wooden stall doors.
誰かいますか？
You normally ask that before opening the doors. I listened carefully for any hint of response, even going so far as to hold my breath.
でも返事をされても怖いよね。
But there wasn't a single sound to be heard. The entire room was dead silent. The walls were made from packed dirt after all, and there was a lot of moisture in the air. Effectively, this whole place was naturally soundproofed.
よし、誰もいないみたい。
I backed away from the stall slightly and almost tripped over a fairly sized crack on the ground, about 5 centimeters wide and 1 centimeter thick.
ここに隠してもいいかな。よいしょ。
Finally, I was able to get out of those waterlogged underwear. Despite being alone, I still crouched down and removed them as discreetly as I could. I'm not saying the other word.
What, you got a problem saying the word panties?
I don't know why, but it makes me uncomfortable to say it.
Okay then.
Hey, shut up!
That's a weird issue to have, my guy.
I don't want to hear that from the guy whose only addiction to this game is the boobs.
That is Shantae, thank you very much. I'm here, that way you don't feel terrified by this ghost.
全部入らないや。布がはみ出ちゃう。もっと大きく広げられればいいんだけど、どうしよう。そうだ。この木で隙間を大きくすれば。
That's the reason for the wood? Use the piece of wood.
ゆかのこんな姿、お兄ちゃんに見られなくてよかった。どうか誰にも見つかりませんように。
Especially not Big Brother.
特に
Oh,
お兄ちゃんには。
not that Big Brother would likely wander into a girl's bathroom, but it was possible given the circumstances. So just to be safe, I figured it couldn't hurt to pray that that didn't happen.
でももうちょっと奥に詰めておこうかな。誰かに見つかったら恥ずかしいもんね。よし。
My underwear was now totally buried and out of sight. There was no way anyone could come across it, even if they didn't know it was there. Satisfied, I stood up.
スースーしてやだな。
Please stop talking about that.
でも濡れたまま履いてたらもっと気持ち悪いし。
She said panty.
さっきから自信ばかり。
She's not entirely wrong.
ここ大丈夫かな。
About 43% of this game is earthquakes.
古い建物だけど壊れちゃわ
It's
ないかな。
42.7, just so you know.
I peeked my head out from the bathroom and looked around.
誰もいないよね。お兄ちゃん、お兄ちゃん。
My voice echoed a lot louder than I was expecting. It actually surprised me. Considering the wet dirt walls, I didn't think its sound would travel that far.
怖いよ。他に
Whoops.
お兄ちゃんの友達とか誰かいれば。
I'm gonna press the enter button. I have no idea what that icon means. So I'm gonna save right here. Probably a bad idea, but oh well.
There's been worse ideas.
臭い。手洗いたいな。
I began walking through the hall once again, this time a bit slower and more unevenly due to exhaustion. Okay, I gotta make sure I do not press Q during the middle of dialogue again. Excuse me.
I kind of want to go to the. Doesn't want to go to the body pool?
I don't.
Why?
It's
Heard
spooky.
everybody is there.
Shut up. Just shut up.
Everybody.
The door is sealed firmly shut. There's no way to open it.
Have you tried to use the doorknob?
There's no doorknob.
Exactly.
Alright, what about the storehouse? Anything in the storehouse? I would imagine not.
やっぱり開かないや。出口どこにあるのかな。
I'm gonna head right here. Then I'm gonna save, and I will attempt to go into the death room. First, let's see if the death room door is open.
Oh, you rather go to the death room than the pool, the body of pool.
Fuck. Yes, I know. I'm paradoxing myself.
Oh yeah, why would I want to go to a pool full of bodies? But hey, look, I'm gonna go into this death room.
暗いな。
It sounds safe to me. Oh look, seen someone get their tongue ripped out.
It says skeletal remains. There doesn't seem to be any way to determine gender from clothing or built alone. But there is a student ID name tag nearby bearing the traditional feminine name. Sakura Motoi.
Look around hard enough and you'll find a tongue.
There are thoroughly decomposed remains on the table here. Based on the general appearance and what's left of the deceased's clothing, they appear to belong to a very young girl. Her name tag is still affixed to her chest. Mako Sakurai. Unfortunately, the only place left to go is the fucking body pool.
Everybody. Body was told. And head to the body pool. What you got against the pool, my guy?
Considering its fucking name,
Don't
you
wanna
wonder
take a
why.
dip? Take a little dip.
The door to this particular room was shuddering ever so slightly, as if there was a breeze blowing against it gently from inside.
なんか開きそう。
Doesn't mean you should. Slowly and hesitantly, I put both hands on the doorknob and started to turn.
入れるみたい。よし、入ってみよう。出口につながってるといいな。ひどい匂い。
As soon as the door opened, even a crack, a powerful, horrible stench slammed into my face and twisted around my nasal cavities like a jet of water.
これ、何かが腐った匂いだ。
I was instantly feeling nauseous and even lightheaded, as if I were suddenly deprived of oxygen.
もうダメ。
Probably were.
早く出よう。
No, you good.
水の音。水があるのかな。
Shame you don't have a fucking light in here. Holding my nose, I stepped back into the room and crept over toward the source of the noise. If there were water in here, maybe I could wash my hands, I thought.
お水どこ。
My extreme thirst came back full force as well. Clean water was the greatest thing I could have possibly found at this point.
Don't drink that water.
I accidentally kicked over a bucket, spilling the contents onto the ground and in front of me. Oh, the fly's back!
No. I hate that fly.
Countless flies immediately
God, there's more
flew
than one.
out from the overturned bucket and began swarming all around me. Their buzzing wings surrounded right up against my ears as if they were attacking me.
Be gone. Leave the room. Go back.
I can't handle that.
I hate that noise so much. No.
I could probably deal with it. I let go of my nose and began flailing my arms wildly, attempting in vain to drive them away.
Oh my god.
As I half-heartedly stumbled forward, I lost my foot, splashing in shallow liquid.
Oh, I didn't mean to actually take a dip.
Mere moments later, my hand came in contact with the wall and brushed against the switch. I heard a faint clicking sound, and then...
You were in the back.
The lights blinked on, and I got a clear look at the room I was standing in. A large portion of the floor had been dug up into something resembling a pool, which was filled with stagnant, discolored water and dismembered bodies.
Don't mind the throw up.
The bodies were decomposing a lot faster than they naturally would on account of the wetness. Most of them had swarms of maggots instead of faces. Several bodies had actually washed up on the ground outside the pool as well. Those few that still had limbs looked like they may lose them at any moment. Their torsos were all swollen and black, and everything else was bone white. Oh my god!
I really wish you hadn't put this thought in my head. That's what it makes me want to do.
The closest body was spurting a sappy mucus from its nose and mouth and staring at me with an ugly, mean expression. You just hear from the mouth, "What are you looking at?"
Oh god.
What are you looking at, Big Nose? The thick fluid coming out of it was a reddish brown in color and seemed to be a disgusting mixture of blood and dead bugs.
Yeah, I'ma head out. I don't want to be part of this no more.
You wanted me to come in here!
I was happy you're in the death room. I don't know what you're talking about. This was your idea.
Some sort of huge door high along the top of the wall opened up, and I could clearly feel a breeze blowing through the room. It was a trash chute?
Don't. Just don't. Okay, proceed.
I was afraid of what might be coming through that hole, so I put some distance between it and myself. Something heavy fell from above and splashed into the pool, spraying my face with rotten, stagnant water. What did you just do? Still alive? The body that had been falling from the pool of water was wearing a school uniform. As soon as it touched the liquid, it began bubbling and melting into it as if it were a bag of ingredients tossed into a stew pot. Or maybe it's not alive. One of the poor victim's lungs floated to the surface. Yeah, it's definitely not alive. Giving the whole scene even more of a sick soup-like appearance.
Okay.
I dragged my wet foot on a dry part of the ground for a second or two, then made a dash for the door. As soon as I was back out in the hall, I fell to my knees in shock. I couldn't even move. From the smell of death and decay that was still sticking to me and still trying to sneak its way into my nose, it was all I could do. It was all I could do not to throw up on the spot. I hadn't eaten anything for hours, so I'm not even sure what I would have actually thrown up, but I still felt like I had to, more strongly than ever before. Maybe it would have been best just to let it come out. I'm sure it would have felt better afterwards. But I honestly didn't want to see my own vomit right now. Now, after all the other disgusting things I'd seen, I had enough. Yuka, I'm not blaming you for that reaction.
どうしてこんなことになっちゃったの？
At times like this especially, I really long for my big brother. If only he were here with me. I cried out for him as much as if in prayer.
お兄ちゃん、助けて。助けて。動けないの。
Oh no.
誰
Nah,
かいる
fam.
の？
You good?
誰かいるの？
Not you again.
Well,
苦しいよ。
Yuko or whatever your name was, you did good.
There was a little girl here with arm outstretched begging for help. I rushed over to her side.
どうしたの？大丈夫？
Yuka, you did good. You tried. You got.
You know what? I don't blame her. She never actually saw Sachiko.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, you did good, kid.
She was faintly
You're
glowing.
gonna die, but you did good.
幽霊？あのね、お腹が苦しいの。お胸が熱いよ。とっても辛そう。床にできることは。
Give her some of that headache medicine.
Kill her again.
怪我はしてないみたいだけど、痛むの？痛いよ。
All I could do for her was offer physical support. If I rubbed her back, maybe she'd feel better.
ありがとう。ごめんね。こんなことしかできなくて。ちょっと楽になったの。そう？よかった。
The girl grimaced again as if she were experiencing some new pain all of a sudden.
まだ無理しない方がいいよ。ね？うん。あなたもここに迷い込んだの？
More or less.